July the 8th. Alabama is going to be participating in the Bama in Boutwell. It was called Bama in Boutwell this last season. Now it's going to be called Ballin in Boutwell. And the reason they're calling it Ballin in Boutwell is actually Samford, Auburn, and Alabama are all going to be competing in this. Samford is going to be playing Alabama A&M for an exhibition on October the 13th. Auburn is going to be playing Oklahoma State on October the 15th. And then Alabama men's and women's basketball are going to be playing Florida State on October the 16th. Those are all going to be exhibition games. Those are all going to be in Boutwell Auditorium. I know last year the attendance was about 2,000 seats roughly. This is being put on by Hibbett Sports. I know there was a stream last season. I would expect that to be the case again this season. That was a really, really cool event. So I am very curious what that's going to look like this season. I'm sure it's going to be very, very similar. But the reason I talk about this is going to be our first chance, obviously, to see Alabama against a team that we know that they're going to be a little familiar with, because Taylor Bowen, the transfer that Alabama is going to have in the front court, I expect him to start at the 4 for this season, came from Florida State. So this is a team that he's going to be very familiar with. I am very curious to see what this team is going to look like, right? This is going to be one of our first looks at what Alabama basketball looks like. Something really to note in this is just because somebody plays or plays substantially well in this Bama and Boutwell game does not mean that they're going to play long-term throughout the season. If you remember, Houston Millette played in the Bama and Boutwell game as well as the other exhibition, and then he ended up redshirting for the season. Obviously, he burned the red shirt for the North Carolina game and then ended up having to take a medical red shirt for the rest of the season. So just because you see somebody play in that Bama and Boutwell game does not always mean that they're going to absolutely be the guy, that plays in the same role, right? Typically, I would expect that they're probably going to play throughout the season, but they may not play in the same role. This is going to be a situation where don't expect the offense to be perfect. Don't expect the defense to be perfect. This is something where I would expect Alabama and NATOs to try some things out. Obviously, there's very low stakes. This is an exhibition game. If you're aware, maybe unaware, Alabama got beat by 30 against TCU in an exhibition the year they went to the Final Four, right? There have been multiple instances where Alabama just gets dominated in some of these exhibition games. They used to be more closed-door exhibitions. Now some of the exhibitions are becoming a little bit more televised events and events that people are aware of. But especially with this event happening, I am very curious to see. This is going to be one of our first looks at Alabama basketball. As I said, it's going to be on October the 16th. I believe that's Wednesday. So this is going to be kind of our first look at Alabama basketball this upcoming season. So, for anybody that's able to be in attendance, I'm sure that will be a very, very fun event.